Welcome to Sunday Brunch with Luke. Today I'm at Charlie's Pub in Fayetteville, West Virginia with Ian Lutz. He is the entrepreneur and owner of the Charlie's Pub here in Fayetteville, as well as many other facets of his life that I want to talk to him about. He's a drummer, a comedian, several different things there, and I just want to get to know him and know what made him come back to Fayetteville and start this Take Over Charlie's Bar. One of my favorite establishments. It's kind of the locals place here in Fayetteville. If you've been in Fayetteville a lot, probably know about Charlie's Bar. If you don't, then you should. But anyway, we'll turn it over to Ian and see what he can tell us about life.
Life, huh? Where do you want to start? As far as I know that you said you were interested in like how I ended up here at Charlie's. I had been a raft guy. I was a raft guy back in like '99 to like the mid 2000s. So I've been coming here for quite a long time. When I got through raft guide and went to college, traveled around quite a bit. When I came back from Las Vegas, I had kind of dreams of opening an entertainment venue, comedy club type thing down in Lewisburg. And so found a spot to do that, and we had put a bunch of work in, just doing the plans, basically an empty box with a brand new storefront, and put a lot of work into designing that, getting everything ready, and we were supposed to break ground around the end of March of 2020. And then COVID hit, so kind of screwed that whole plan up, and I went back. I had an engineering job at the time, so I went back to that job and was just sort of looking for some way to get to where I was working in something similar, owning an entertainment venue or something where I could have bands and stuff like that. I came down here to Fayetteville to visit in, I want to say probably August of that year. And there was somebody running the bar, but I'll just say wasn't doing a great job with it. And I kind of at that point realized, hey, maybe this might be up for grabs before too long. So I got a hold of Jerry, who's Charlie's brother, and I said, "Hey man, if this doesn't work out, I'd like to come in and buy the business from you." And so it worked out pretty well. It was only about 3 days after that, after I made that decision, that the bar became vacant again. And so yeah, man, I cashed in my 401k and I came down here and I bought the bar off Jerry. And then just ever since, I've been doing my best to make additions to it, expand on it. We built a whole outdoor area. There's a stage out there, outdoor deck. I built a little stage inside as well. So definitely got geared more towards turning it into some kind of a small music venue, which has gone over really well. And then also just, the other aspects of the bar. I mean, we've had plenty of good response from the locals, and it's definitely a little more touristy now, than it was back in the day. I remember, the tourists would find this spot and come in and ring the buzzer and walk in and be 4 layers of cigarette smoke and a bunch of rough customers sitting at the bar, and they'd be like, fuck this, we're out, whatever. So now those tourists, when they come in, we welcome them with open arms, and they get to enjoy kind of a relic from Fayetteville. It's the oldest running small business in Fayetteville, and so it's become kind of a cool spot, for people from out of town want to come check it out and see a little piece of history, and then just sort of enjoy it for what it is now. So yeah, it's gone really well.
I know I've told several, I have an Airbnb and I have several guests. They're always looking for, the authentic thing in Fayetteville. This is where I send them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want the oldest local spot in Fayetteville, this is that.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
There's nothing better than, as far as the local spot goes, this is it. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, tell me more about you. I just learned, maybe a month or so ago, that you used to be more of a stand-up comedian.
Well, I've been, I guess, kind of a performer for a lot of my life. When I was a kid, I used to get into school plays and just, stuff like that. Started getting into music and perform music for a long time. As far as the comedy goes, it was something I'd always kind of thought about doing. And I was working as a craps dealer at the Greenbrier Casino. And, when you're on a craps game, you kind of have to be an entertainer, especially if you're the guy on the stick doing the stick calls and stuff. And so I'd come up with some of my own stick calls and just, made it a way to keep things kind of funny and lighthearted, which you sort of have to do, especially if people are losing fucking money on the table, And then one of my pit bosses at one point was just like, man, like you a pretty funny guy. Like, you ever thought about getting into stand-up? I said, yeah, I actually had. And so I made a decision. I put my 2 weeks notice in a little bit after that, and I packed up and I moved to Vegas. Where I figured there'd be a good comedy scene. I got a job as a crab stealer pretty quick. So that's kind of where I got my start. I had planned on doing this like 6-week comedy class, right? And the whole thing at the end of the class was, well, you'll do a real live open mic at the end of this 6 weeks. And it was like $600. And I didn't know, how else do you get into comedy? Maybe that's the way you get your foot in the door. So I moved out there with that intention. I had a friend of mine I grew up with in Newport News, Virginia, that lived out there. And I hadn't seen him for probably 15 years or something. And he said, well, I saw, on Facebook, that you're moving out here to Vegas. And, let's get up, let's catch up and have a couple of drinks. So we met at this bar called the Blind Tiger, which was in Henderson, which is right next to Vegas. And I hadn't even been in Vegas for 36 hours at this point. And we're sitting there, we're drinking, just chopping it up, having a good time. There's probably 10, 12 people in the whole bar. And at one point, this woman comes in and she sets a microphone up on stage and she says, hey, we're having open mic tonight. He and I were both musicians, so we just thought, okay, let's go to your house, grab some guitars, we'll come back and we'll just play some music for this open mic. So I went to her and I said, yeah, me and my buddy want to get on the list, whatever. She said, well, are you comedians? And I said, no. She said, is the act funny at all? And I said, no, we were just going to play some Metallica covers or something. And she says, well, this is strictly comedy, open mic. And I was like, well, that's a pretty cool sign, So I went back to the table and I told my buddy, I said, hey, man, how's that for a sign? Like, we're actually going to get to watch some comedy tonight. And he said, well, what do you mean watch? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you want to be a comedian, go put your name on the list, right? So at the time it seemed cute because there's 10, 12 people in the bar, right? I said, yeah, I have no material, whatever, but I'll get up and eat shit in front of these fucking people for 5 minutes. What do I got to lose? I'm pretty sauced at the time. And so I go and sign up, and Angie Crum was her name, and she says, well, have you ever done this before? I said, no. And she says, okay, well then you get to go first. And I said, fine. What? There's 10 people in the bar. Well, I signed the list. And about 10 minutes before this open mic starts, about 30 legit comedians come rolling through the door, right? And they've all got their notebooks, and they're like talking to each other about jokes they've been workshopping and all. And I'm just like hearing this peripherally, and I'm like, what did I get myself into, whatever. But I said, screw it, I've signed up, like I'm going to get up there. And I got up there, and it was the longest 5 minutes of my entire life, And I mean, that includes like swimming lost paddle from top to bottom, you know what I'm saying? It was rough. Dead silence when I was done with my set, like not even a pity clap, nothing. So I said, fuck, I went to the bar, I said, I need a shot. So I get to the bar, and I'm waiting on the bartender, and there's this dude sitting next to me, his arms are crossed, and he's just looking at me, and I said, well, what's up, man? You want a shot or something? He said, no, I don't want a shot. And I said, well, what's up? He said, I just want to let you know that's the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. And I was just like, really, man? I said, shit, because I kind of moved out here to like get in and doing this comedy thing, right? And his name was Randall Thompson. He's a good friend of mine now, but he said, man, I can tell you got it. He's like, if you keep at it, whatever, you're gonna figure it out. You'll get good at this. So yeah, he right then and there he gave me like all the the Vegas comedian groups, gave me his number and told me where all the open mics are, and he's like, you just keep getting on stage as much as you can, and you'll figure this out. And so he told me, he said, call me, I'll make sure I'm at whatever open mics you're at, and I'll give you some pointers, some notes, and whatever. I said, man, that's awesome. I told him about the class I was going to take, and he was like, that's a huge scam. That guy's a fucking scam artist. You be glad that you didn't do that, whatever. So I did, and I started doing these open mics, and then after about a couple months after, my friend Torres Fairley, he was a comedy producer out there, and he gave me a shot, gave me my first live show, and so I did comedy out there for about 3 years, and kind of, moved my way into a few good paid gigs, and had a great time doing it, met some awesome people, some very funny people. Saw some crazy shit in Vegas. I mean, stuff that you build comedy from. You know, I've seen like every shape, size, and ethnicity of Elvises. You know, I've seen women do things with octopus like you wouldn't fucking believe. Like, just all kinds of stuff. So after a few years there, I kind of started thinking I wanted to maybe kind of bring, you know, what I knew of comedy and producing shows back to West Virginia, because I knew there wasn't a huge comedy scene. You know, there was some people here and there doing their thing. So when I moved back, I started kind of finding other comedians, you know, Lawton Parnell, Andy Frampton, some guys that were producing shows, and I started working with them, you know, bring some shows more down to like my area, Lewisburg and Hot Springs, Virginia. And so over the years, yeah, I got to produce a few shows. We've done a few here in Charlie's as well. So not as active in that as I was at one point, but it's always, you know, something in the back of my mind. You know, I still like to jump on an open mic, or we do variety shows down here once in a while. I get to work some new material out here and there, which also owning a bar is a gold mine of fucking material as well, you know. So so yeah, that's pretty much the comedy story, like how I got into all that stuff.
I want to ask you about your band and so forth, but before I do that, I want to ask you: is there any jokes or any comedy skit you want to share with us?
I mean, being totally honest, like people ask you that, especially at the bar when they find out.
I'm sure.
The thing about stand-up comedy, man, and maybe this sounds like a cop-out, but when you're doing stand-up, you the tools of a comedian are the crowd.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, your mic stand, your microphone, and you just sort of having everybody's attention like that. So if I were to do a stand-up bit for you right now, it wouldn't come across as, you'd probably just be looking at me with a blank stare at the end of it, you know. So yeah, so I pretty much, people ask about stand. Now I've got a slew of bar jokes for people at the bar, so I'll tell you a bar joke.
Give me a bar joke.
I usually appease them. A bar joke, huh? Okay. Well, here's one. Oh man, I don't know if that's going to go over well. Let's see. Here's one I tell. Okay, this is one I tell to my bachelor parties, right?
Okay.
That come in here. And I'll tell it to bachelorette parties too, just kind of flip it around. But yeah, you get a bachelor party in here, and you get them all kind of gathered around. So the joke is, a guy gets on an airplane, right? And he sits down next to this guy, and the guy's reading a book. And he says, hey man, what you reading? He says, oh, it's a book about Sigmund Freud, right? He's like, oh, I know Sigmund Freud, right? That's like the famous psychiatrist. He says, yeah. He says, well, what chapter are you on? He says, it's a chapter about Freudian slips. And he says, what's a Freudian slip, right? He says, well, that's when you mix up words or syllables in a sentence and you say something you didn't intend to say, right? He said, it like happened to me today when I was called to order my ticket for this flight. I called and said, can I get a ticket to Pittsburgh, right? The other guy says, no shit, same thing happened to me this morning. I was having breakfast with my wife. I meant to say, honey, will you pass the maple syrup? Instead, I looked her dead in the eye and said, you fucking bitch, you ruined my life.
I hear you.
You can edit that out if you need to. I don't know, what's your...
This is for whoever wants to watch it.
Okay.
This is not for children. That's great. So, you're also a musician.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of seeing you live at the Greenbrier Theater, I think it was called.
Greenbrier Valley Theater. Yeah, Lewisburg. Yeah.
Tell me about your music career.
Well, first of all, since we're right there,
okay.
I would like to give a shout to the people that that produced the Greenbrier or the Lewisburg Winter Music Festival. That was a fantastic production. Jason Johans and Josh Baldwin are the two that I know off the top of my head. I know there was other people involved. But yeah, what a great production. You're talking like, 9 venues or something, and like 90 different bands. 7 venues, 90 bands.
I think it was 70.
Something like that,
90.
Yeah.
I've lost track. I didn't get to see all of them.
So, yeah, and then just having everybody right there in town and kind of collaborating on that thing. That was really cool. And it was just cool to see like the amount of people that were out. I mean, I'd been to it like 5 years ago, and some of the shows were a little lighter attended than others, and this year it just seemed like every show you went to, like they were
everybody was packed out this year. I was really impressed with the turnout.
Yeah, so big shout to those guys who organized that festival. That was a really cool thing. As far as me, like getting into music, I guess, as a young kid, I always enjoyed music. I was, would sing, and like I said, I would do school plays and stuff like that. And then, excuse me. I got into school band playing trombone. So that was my first instrument, which I enjoyed that. And then I got in a little trouble at school, and I had to go see a drug counselor. So I had this therapist that I was going to, who was actually really cool. And at one point, for whatever reason, like we got talking about this like kind of imaginary band that me and my friends had growing up, and it was me, Hal Rustad, Nick Long, and Kerry Barber, and we all like had a instrument that we played, and we just kind of make up stupid ass songs. We didn't actually own any instruments. This was all just like kind of in our heads. And she said, well, what instrument do you play in the band? I said, well, I'm the drummer. And so she said, well, if you've ever thought about playing drums. And I'm like, I mean, I've been to music stores to get, slide oil for my trombone. I've seen the price tag on drum sets. Like, there's no fucking way I could afford to get into playing drums. And she said that she had a roommate that was, and had an old Slingerland drum kit in her basement since like the 70s, right? So she said, let me talk to her and see, if she might be interested in selling it to you. So she, the next week when we met, she said, yeah, I talked to her. She said she'd sell you that drum set for $100, right? So, at the time I was big enough to push a lawnmower. I went and mowed like 10 lawns around the neighborhood, $10 a pop. There's $100. So we go out to pick it up. And she had set it up in the driveway and bought a new pair of sticks at the music store. And I got on there. Of course, I'm just flailing around, no clue what I'm doing, whatever. And I don't know, the way she worded it, she said, I just saw the look on your face, whatever. And she said, you looked extremely at home behind those drums. So she sold me the kit for $50. So, we packed up the kit. We took it home. I set it up in the garage, and me and my best friend Hal, like we sat there trying to figure out how to play drums. And then we weren't getting the knack of it. And I said, you know what? I still got $50 in my pocket. Let's go buy some weed and see if that helps. So we went out. I think we bought like a half ounce of weed, and we just got high as shit for the next few days and just started playing drums. I think by the end of that 3 days, I had that one beat down, that every drummer learns at first. Right. And I played that beat for about 3 solid months. And the drum set was in the garage right next to the kitchen. And my mom, I'd always been playing while she was cooking dinner, and eventually she said, I fully support your musical endeavors, but for the love of God, learn a new fucking beat on the drum set, whatever. Of course, Mom didn't talk like that, but so anyway, I got into that. And then when I moved I never really took off on drums until I moved to West Virginia. That was in '96. I was a sophomore in high school, and I met this dude, Isaiah Monahan, in band class. And we started hanging out, and then we were at our buddy Eddie Fife's house, who had, this is like officially like drums and PA equipment, guitars, microphones, all this. And I got behind that drum set and just started playing, and that was the first time I really played with anybody. I think Isaiah was on the bass, and Eddie was playing guitar maybe, and it was the first time I really had like a session that clicked, and I just wanted to keep playing and playing. So man, this just feels really good. So we at the end of that, we started a band. And so we went and we found, we picked up our good buddy Dan Friedman, who I still play music with to this day. And so, we formed that first band. It was called Laughing Jim. We played in that for a while. And then that kind of dissipated after high school. And then years later, I was living in a house in Huntington with a couple buddies of mine. And Neil Jones was up there. I had brought that old Slingerland kit up to that house, so the drums were set up, and Neil had kind of plunked around on guitar, I could say, but he had never really kind of got into learning it. And then one day we were all there at the house, and we got a phone call that it was for Neil. He took it upstairs, and it turned out that he had just got the news that his dad had passed away. And we were all really close with Verb. He would come up to Huntington every week and, hang out, watch football with us, make chili with us, whatever. After Neil heard that news, he kind of locked himself in his room for a few weeks, and we didn't hear much from him except that guitar. He was just figuring things out on that guitar. And he came out about 3 weeks later, and he was just like, hey, Ian, I've written some songs, and I want to, play with you on drums. I had an old Fender half-stack Bassman amp that my uncle Randy gave me. And so he's like, how do we plug into this thing? And I said, well, first we got to go get you a pickup for your acoustic guitar, right? So we go down to the pawn shop, get him a pickup, bring it back, we plug this thing in, and he starts playing these songs, and I'm like, these are not just like throwaway tunes. These are all, every one of them was like a really good song that had just good depth, good writing to it, good composition. The lyrics were, metaphorical and meaningful, and I was just like, damn, dude, like these are great tunes, like let's keep hashing these out. And I think it was kind of therapeutic for Neil to just sort of play music, get his mind into something, get engaged with that. And then we got to the point where we're like, okay, well, let's, we brought a bass player on. Corey Alder was our first bass player. Started off as a trio, and then we brought a guitar player, the lead guitar player in the band. We started, playing around and picking up. Then over the years, we added members kind of here, there. There's been a few different iterations of the band, I guess you could say. And now for the past probably 10 years or so, maybe longer, we've had it where we're at now is about a 9-piece with all those players and stuff. So we were really getting after it there, like in our late 20s and early 30s. We were all in college. We were in Morgantown. We were gigging quite a bit. And then, over time, people get married, had families, stuff like that. So it's, we get together maybe 2 times a year now to play, but it's always just a great time, just seeing each other, getting in a room together, pulling these crowds out. Our crowd has evolved quite a bit over the years. It used to be our friends. Now it's like our parents, our friends, and their kids. So it's like 3 generations of Vernon Spotted fans out there, which is awesome, So yeah, I mean that pretty much brings you up to speed with where we're at today. We've done a couple albums over the years, and but we've always mostly focused on being kind of a live act. Is sort of our brand.
What's your next thing that's scheduled with the band's name is Vern's Potticelli?
Vern's Potticelli, yep. Which we had to come up with a name for we got our first gig in August of 2001. And so when we need a name, if we're going to play, and Neil's like, we got any ideas? And it just rolled off my touch. Vern's Potticelli, because it was a dedication to Vern. And so I'd say of every band I've been in, that was the most easy it's ever been to land on a name. Vern's Potticelli, and you were asking what our next show is?
Yeah, do you have a show scheduled? You said you do about 2 a year.
We don't have anything scheduled yet, but we do sometimes try to play a Bridge Day show. Okay. That was something we started with the guys from Yeti, like back in 2003. So Bridge Day's always been kind of a special day for us. And then I am going to hopefully get those guys out here to play my stage sometime during the summer. We talked about doing a benefit to raise some money for me to put a roof on my stage out back. And we did talk about that, fellas, the last time we met, so don't forget. So tentatively we'll probably be doing a gig here, sometime in June, July, something like that. And then we usually do our winter show. We do like our own holiday show down in Lewisburg every year. And I'm sure that we'll do that Winter Music Festival again, wrapping around the holidays. So, yeah.
It was a great show, but that's my second year to be at the Green Farm Valley Winter Festival.
Yeah.
It's absolutely great. Cold.
Cold? Yep.
Cold. And I tore my car up while I was down there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember seeing you on the side of the road and you were, I'm sorry I couldn't have helped you out a little bit more, man.
I see how it is.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I got people in town, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, I worked it out. The car is still in the garage, honestly. It's supposed to be out this week. So
yeah.
Hopefully we'll
all right. Well, good to hear, man. I'm glad it panned out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you got a great thing going here. I love Charlie's. I think the community loves Charlie's, and having you doing it and running it and everything, it seems like it's going really well. The crowd's picked up in here again.
Yeah.
It seems like things are going well. I love the outdoor stage. The amount of people you can have here compared to what it was a few years ago.
Sure, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I remember when we sat up in the corner over there trying to watch shows, and it gets a little tight in here when you get a band set up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, it's great to have this.
Well, good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Hopefully, everybody else is too. And I'm getting ready to kick off Music March. So I have bands every Friday and Saturday through the month of March, and that kind of sets us up for the summertime when I go back to just having live music every Saturday.
Okay.
And March is my birthday month, so I just like having a lot of music in here. Just
When's your
to
birthday?
celebrate. March 26th.
26. Okay. I'll try to make something happen cool that day.
Yeah,
I'll
the-
go either way.
The official March birthday bash, and this is for anybody who's got a birthday in March, come celebrate with us, whatever, is going to be March 28th, Saturday. And I've got Paul Johnson, Corey McQuaid, Charlie Hatcher, John Sneed, and myself are going to set up and play a show that night.
Sweet.
Every
one of those are great names.
Yeah, some heavy hitters, and I'm looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, every Friday, Saturday in March we got live music, and so hopefully that'll help us kick off the season. We'll see some people.
I'll be
out
here
there.
for some of it. I'm traveling doing this a little bit now, so
Right
I'm
on, man.
not in town as much as I like to be, but
Right.
I'll definitely be here for some of that.
Yeah. So how is this thing going for you? How's this venture going for you?
This is I'm getting a great welcome everywhere I go. Everybody has been very welcoming. My numbers aren't, as far as the views and everything, aren't where I want them to be yet, but that's just a matter of time. I've only been doing it since January. I think I've had 9 Sundays so far,
Yeah.
or 9 shows. This is coming up and will be the 9th Sunday. So it's definitely, it's fun. It gives me something to look forward to. I've always enjoyed going to see bands, but I'm never just happy just sitting there. I want to do something.
Right.
And so now when I'm going out to see bands and stuff, I have a reason to talk to them, a reason to interview them, and it makes me feel a little bit more involved, and I enjoy this a lot more than I do just going and sitting still.
Very cool. Yeah.
I don't drink like I used to. It used to be when I drink, I'd get out there and dance a lot. Since I've cut back on the drinking over the years,
Yeah.
I'm a little more sedentary in a bar. So this has definitely been enjoyable for me.
Cool.
I definitely found something I enjoy doing.
Nice, man. Well, it's awesome to know that there's somebody like plugging away, getting the word out about things. You know.
I'm definitely trying. When I share it to you, I'll ask that you share it with your folks on your site and everything.
Oh, I'm a shameless self-promoter, man. you give me anything about me or my band or my comedy or the bar or whatever, yeah, I'm sharing it with everybody. So
I appreciate it.
I guarantee you that.
I appreciate it. Is there anything that you want people to know? Any particular show? I think I saw some of the shows, and I hate to mention anyone because I don't want to leave people out. Paul Johnson, I'm always looking forward to him.
Yeah.
To me, his voice is it's just classic. I don't know. There's really not people that I'd rather hear sing than Paul Johnson.
Yeah, he's a gem, man.
I hate
for
to
sure.
say that out loud and on camera where people hear it, but you know.
I think it's a pretty good compliment to give to our boy Paul,
Yeah,
who also happens to be a bartender here. So if you're missing Paul, you can come down and have a drink with him starting like March 2nd. He'll be back in here working at the bar. So yeah.
Good deal. I saw Camp Kind is doing their kickoff here for the
Yeah, this will actually Camp Con. This will be the 3rd year they've done their pre-party here at Charlie's. That's always gone over really well. I've got to kick it off. Whiskey and Wine is the first Friday. Those are great local acts. Josh Vass is that first Saturday, who kind of, I want to say, like, sort of started getting into music playing down here for like my variety shows, and then has sort of developed over time. And I believe he's getting ready to put out his first album.
I've enjoyed his work.
Yeah, he's great singer, great player, cool stage presence.
You also hosted the band Pants for their first show.
I did,
last spring.
yeah.
I was so impressed with them. Their music is so tight. They sounded like they had practiced for years when they got together that first time.
Well, they definitely, they've got some heavy hitters too, man. Duncan is I've always known him as a keyboard player. I guess he plays drums for that band, but Josh Weinbrimmer and Molly on the bass, and then I met their singer,
Brian Washington.
Is it Brian? Yeah, he was here for Buffalo Bills game a few weeks back. That we did not win, but whatever. But
sorry about your luck on that one.
But yeah, that's a great group of people, great group of musicians, man. I've actually talked to them about booking them a solo show down here sometime this summer. And then let's see, who do I have after that? The next Saturday, I know I've got like Kit Lindsay is playing on the 27th, and then us, the Camp Con thing. Gregory Warden is playing. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
He's he might be somebody pretty interesting to interview,
Okay.
actually. He's a great solo musician. I mean, if there's any way to describe the guy, like on stage, just a ton of character. You know, he's a phenomenal musician, but just like his character is the thing that shines through. You know, he's like kind of sets the whole stage up like a little atmosphere, and then he's got sort of some theatrics and stuff he does on stage. He's a good dude.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, so that's kind of our March lineup, and then going forward, yeah, we got a bunch of. I have some newer people that I've been trying to bring in, some new faces and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, just stay tuned. This stuff I always post it on my social media, my Instagram, Charlie's Pub Facebook page, whatever, and then our website, charliespubwv.com. You know, we try to keep all the flyers and stuff updated on there. And actually, right now I'm doing a big shirt sale. I got all my hoodies, t-shirts for Charlie's, Lutzy's Pickles, Ding the Stinkfinger. All those t-shirts and stuff are available.
What is Lutzy's Pickles? I found that online the other day, but I didn't realize it was yours.
So yeah, Lutzy's Pickles kind of started when I first got the bar. There was just have a business up the street that was bringing their pickle juice down to us for pickleback shots, secret sandwich. And you know, I just thought, well, you know, I'm pretty good in the kitchen. I'm sure like I can make pickles that we have here to call our own, whatever. We could serve these shots with our pickle juice. And so I came up with a recipe, and we started doing these pickleback shots. And then people were like, you know, this is really good. Do you sell these pickles? And I hadn't thought about it. And then I started making enough pickles to where we could sell them down here at the bar, and it's become something that we're kind of known for now.
Okay.
And that's a whole, you know, kind of a separate thing. I mean, it coincides with the bar, but I'm trying to sort of run that LLC as a separate thing and maybe build that up, you know, over the next couple of years to just get on shelves locally, maybe do some festivals. And I talked to Charlie about doing Healing Appalachia, you know, just something on the side to get the word out, maybe make a couple extra bucks. But the pickles speak for themselves, man. You know, they're really good.
I have not tried them yet. I will definitely try them.
I'll hook you up, man, before you take off today. Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be in some pickles for sure.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk with you and let everybody out there get an opportunity to know you and know what's going on and know. I kind of like to know the people that I'm going to hang out with. When I'm going to a bar, I kind of like to know who's there and who's running it. And you know, Charlie's it's not your average place. It's a little cooler than, you know, the corner bar in the middle of some city. And
Nice.
I will be careful about being derogatory about anybody else's city. But
Yeah, well, I'll take the compliment where it is, man. I appreciate you saying that.
It's definitely a one of a kind of place. And I'm glad to know that you have it and that you'll keep it going and that you're building on and making it better and providing more opportunities. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Luke.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely,
And,
man.
we'll talk to you again.
All right.
Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Sunday Brunch with Luke, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.